Hello there, my friends. Chris Marcus here with you for Arcadia Economics. And on a Friday afternoon, wrapping up the trading week. Although you see a headline that I made tonight's theme, not just because of the particular headline, but just that you see more and more headlines like this popping up, which we've talked about quite a bit on the show over the past year, where once the price starts going up, then you're going to get more attention, then you get more attention, which has led to increased investment demand, whether that's in bullion or now we're seeing it even more in the silver equities. So we'll get back to that article in a second, although real quick, tonight's video is sponsored by Viszla Resources that you may have seen a couple weeks ago on the show, who has been out targeting becoming a high-grade silver producer in Mexico. In fact, let us hear it directly from Michael real quick here.
Viszla has consolidated an entire precious metals district with multiple producing centers in southern Sinaloa, Mexico. And the goal is essentially to become Mexico's newest high-grade silver producer.
So that was about 2 weeks ago, and I'd say the time in between then, off to a good start. They've had some great drill results. Here's the one-year chart on Viszla, so you can see it has been quite a good time. June 19th, they were at 31 cents. So it's gone up quite a bit, but just a stock that you are going to be hearing a lot about if you're in the silver space going forward. And here, as you can see, a lot of the stocks having a positive day. Silver up a little bit. Let's pull up silver's price here. So interesting to see silver close on the higher end, not reaching the high of Wednesday, where we see a close of 1943 there. Silver closing on the Kitco chart at 1932. So close to the high end, but to the degree that as a silver investor, you've become quite accustomed to seeing the price get absolutely slaughtered towards the end of some of these trading days. Usually it's drifting down more like the red chart. So, and again, it's interesting. Gee, it was last September when silver got over $19 and then got hammered down, and and here almost a year has gone by as are we really in late July yet? July 17th. So maybe that's mid-July still, but I guess a few more days will be late July. And will silver get through 20 this time? Certainly a lot has changed in the world since then. And as we'll go back to our featured article here today, just a few thoughts before we dig into what Adam Hamilton has here. But obviously, you hear Andy Schechtman on the show each week. He talks about the retail demand, which has certainly come in and settled down quite a bit from what we saw March, April, when everyone, and you saw we had bullion dealers from around the globe coming on the show, frequently commenting on the surge in demand. Still, demand, I would say, is strong, coming a little bit. But again, you have the SLV numbers. Now we have the COMEX numbers. So, and as Adam here writes, silver investment demand is exploding. Stock traders have flooded into SLV shares. The resulting enormous SLV holding builds are unprecedented. I mean, he's quite correct. And when you look at just how much has gone in, let me back this out a little bit. Let's go to the 2-year monthly. Again, you can see the amount of metal. Actually, we'll go a little farther back so you can see how this has really gone vertical here. So it's almost surprising. See, look, you had the here we are in 2016 when price gets above $20 and you have, let's call it 900 million ounces, now at 1372. So you've basically added 50% more metal into the trust, and somehow the price is actually a little bit lower. That's why I think you have the coiled spring effect, because between this and what you see on the COMEX, these are historic amounts. This blows away what happened, even what the Hunt brothers did. the Hunt brothers didn't have this much silver. Warren Buffett didn't have 300 million ounces of silver. And gee, in 1 month on the COMEX, they're what they, we'll get to them in a second. I think it's up to close to, all right, here's our, look at those platinum numbers. That one keeps growing. Another 286 in there yesterday. And where's silver? Silver is climbing up there. It was 13,000, then another 2,000 almost this week. So 15,000 if you call that. So this would be about 72 to 73 million ounces. So yeah, it's almost incredible that the price is not almost. It's stunning that you could have that much metal requested and the price be below $20. Here, Adam talks about silver demand exploding. And if we saw what happened last time during COVID, and I got an alert on my phone today, a statewide mask policy in Colorado. I don't know the exact details of what that entails, but if we're keep heading back that way, and the headlines are indicating as such. Again, I take headlines with a grain of salt as 41 and a half years of realizing they are not always how things are going. But in either case, the Fed's still printing. I don't really see what's going to change this. And before we delve into silver's exploding demand, realize they reveal how unusually strong silver's price action has been. It's so fascinating reading these different articles where everyone has their different perspective, and not to say mine is right. I mean, I've presented my best case. It's in the book and what we talk about here each night. But I mean, people analyzing when silver goes from 20 to 22, if that was, and to me, it's just so disconnected from everything that's going on. And I think without that paper influence from the banks, obviously the price would be substantially higher. So, it's really, that's why it's weird. It's like, what analysis, because demand went up or the supply went down, never really explained any of the things that were going on. But again, I see it as a positive, just that you see more people digging in, and that's saying a lot. Back in the spring of 2011, silver soared parabolic in one of the violent, crazy, lucrative manias this metal is famous for. Is interesting, and as you'll hear on this weekend's episodes, I think I ran it by both Dave Kranzler and Andy Scheckman. We've seen silver go to $50 twice, and there's certainly banking and regulatory fingerprints. I mean, it doesn't. If there's ever been a market that is not perhaps ever responded to true supply and demand fundamentals, you would think silver would be it. And I've wondered if what we saw back in 2011, given the context, I mean, it wasn't, again, just out of left field. This was following QE2. This was following the U.S. blowing through the debt ceiling, getting downgraded by S&P. And I wonder if the dollar was close to going off the tracks back in 2011. I mean, not that that has to be the way this goes down, but it's always historically been, when gold and silver start skyrocketing, that's when people notice things are off. My best guess is that that was on some degree happening in 2011, and smashing the metals, killing the interest, bought a bit more time. Although I think we're finally back here in 2020. Whether we get, I'm going to guess we make it into the upper 20s this year. And we'll see, whether it's this year. I mean, but I think we're going to break through 20. To me, it seems like there's just so much pressure right now that it will be hard to keep it below 20, which is not to say that's going to happen next week. And if we go back down into 18s or even 17s, wouldn't be surprised. But again, nothing. I mean, maybe the best thing would be if you could take a nap for 2 or 3 years. because nothing in the long term has changed. So while it can be fun and interesting to follow and do a show about the details, I find the more and more my approach is to leave things there, do as little as possible. Usually that works out pretty well. So anyway, again, some quick look at here's the silver deliveries again up to almost 15,000. Will be interesting to see what September holds. Gold, guess we are about 2 weeks away, a little under 2 weeks. We'll start getting a better idea of the August gold numbers. We'll keep you posted there. Oh, yes, the last thing I wanted to dig into here. The platinum number is getting pretty big, which again is not to say that metal is leaving the building, but last week or week it was like about 2,500. So this one, it keeps growing, and you can see, I mean, 2 months ago they had eight contracts delivered, and this month it's up to 3,410, and there's not a big platinum supply out there. So again, real quick look at the price. Let's call it 1935-ish on the Kitco for silver. Gold finishing above 1,800, flatlining at the end of the day. And so rally in the metals, and a lot of attention being focused on the metals, which perhaps in our parting thought of the day here, should it matter what attention is being focused on versus the fundamentals? Maybe it should or shouldn't, but certainly as we've seen through at least my lifetime with dot-com bubbles and mortgage bubbles and everything else, that investor psychology does play into these things. So anything you're thinking about, a lot of other people are thinking about, and all gets baked in there. But I guess that's why it is fun to follow the markets. And to me, I think it's a great time if you can stay for the long term. Makes things easy, but by all means, as always, do what feels right to you. And again, just before we wrap up, this episode, as I mentioned, was sponsored by Viszla. And to find out more about them, there is a video coming your way now.